Now, today, according to my general estimates, we're going to finish the quota for this week. But don't worry, because next week, we still have spooky stuff next week. The whole next week is going to be spooky stuff, and probably the week after, which, by the way, the week after is the last week in our term, which means that after after this week, we have 2 more weeks. Okay, we have this week is Purim, and then we have 1 week and another week, and then our term is over for the month of Nisan, right? Generally, that's the way it is in Israel. That again, in America, they give you like 3 months off in the summer, but they give you small breaks for here. In Israel, generally, we give you the whole Tishrei, the whole Nisan, but then we only give you like 3 weeks summer break, 2 weeks summer break.
No, we get 6 weeks summer break. Get the whole off.
No, summer break is from Tisha B'Av to Elul. That's it. It's not even 3 weeks. What do you mean? It's like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Anyways, yeah. It's pretty much exactly 2 weeks from. Meaning, put it this way: 2 weeks from Sunday. Yeah, 2 weeks from Sunday, pretty much. No. Yeah, 2 weeks from Sunday. Again, next Sunday we have all the way through Shabbos, and then all the way through Shabbos, and then we're done. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, I think is on Sunday. When's Rosh Chodesh Nisan? You see over there? I think it's on there. Okay, so let's begin. We have people waiting here online already for us, Baruch Hashem, and on the various different places that we have that you can reach us. You can reach us on YouTube, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, and X. And you can also come here if you want to be live in Tzfat. You can come to the holy city at Tzfat and learn with us as well. All right. We are continuing some of the spooky Talmudic information, which is not the usual of the Talmudic situation. Usually the Talmudic teachings are about halacha, ritual laws that Jewish people do or don't do. However, there's an exception that every once in a while the Gemara goes in and tries to tell you some of the secret stuff. Very often it is said that this is the secret way of teaching you the Kabbalistic information without teaching you the Kabbalistic information. But it's called, it's like the Kabbalah within the Talmud. And that's what we're speaking about now. Yesterday, we spoke about 2 women that were at the crossroads, staring at each other on either side of the road. We said these women are definitely witches. Be really careful not to walk between them. Do not walk between them, because if you walk between them alone, you will be attacked. Okay? By not necessarily them personally, but their witchcraft power. Okay? We said you can either try to walk through between them with 2 people, then they won't be able to attack you. Or there's a specific saying that we said yesterday that you should say. You should say, Agras aslas asyas balusya miskatla bechek kibel. If you say that, you remember that saying, then you're done. Otherwise, be careful. All right? Good. Now we're telling you another important piece of spooky information. It says, Haiman de poga beitza beidna de salka mitfilas mitzvah. If a man, how should I say it? I would say bumps into. How would you say? What would be the word? If a man, somebody drew a picture in your Talmud. Good. Oh, I'm sure it's not. Maybe they illustrated the picture of the demon that we're talking about. No. What? It could be. I don't know. Maybe they do. A man that somehow bumped into it is another word I'm looking for, like encountered. Very good. If a man encounters a woman at the time that she leaves the tfilas mitzvah, which means when she dips in the mikvah. All right, women have to dip in the mikvah once a month after their cycle. There's a whole thing that they have to go through. When you're getting married, maybe they'll teach you the details. Not that they're secret. It's just that there's better things to learn that are more applicable to your life until you're about to get married. You have to deal with these details, what she has to do, and the culmination of the purification process after a woman has her menstrual cycle is dipping in the mikveh, right? And this usually happens approximately once a month to healthy women, unless you do what a lot of Hasidic men do, is keep them pregnant, and then they don't
You have to worry about the.
they don't have to worry about it. Right. People wonder why these Hasidic men have so many kids. They're like, listen, the whole process of nida every month to deal with all this stuff, forget about it. Just keep them, make them pregnant all the time, and that's it. You don't have to deal with it. Yeah. So again, if a man encounters a woman as she's leaving her mitzvah of dipping in a mikveh, ihu kodim umeshamish. If he goes home and is together with his wife first, he will be attacked with a spirit of promiscuity. Yeah. Which means he will be drawn, not necessarily will he do the action, but he will feel a serious drawing to do immoral acts with perhaps other women. Huh? What? Yeah, Adam's first wife. They say there is a thing that she what was her name again? I can't remember. Huh? Lila. Lilith. Yeah. What's that? Huh?
I was going to say that I wasn't sure.
Lilith. Lila, I think it's called. No, isn't it Lila? Lilith. Is that the way it's called in Hebrew too? No. Well, put it this way. They say there is some Jewish literature that would suggest that Adam, prior to Chava actually was made out of Adam. But look at all the other animals; they were made male and female separate. And so some people say there's some, not people. There's some ancient sources that say God originally created man and woman, two separate beings, and the woman was called Lilith, and this woman Lilith was somewhat of an equal to the man, and was an independent. She was independent. Right today, what do the secular people want to do? What are the Western? They want women to be equal. Well, once upon a time they were. Once upon a time they were kind of like two separate equal creations, and it didn't work. Right? Apparently, they made each other's lives miserable. Okay, let me tell you something, guys. All right. I hope some women over here are not offended. But if you are dating a woman and she wants to be your complete equal, be careful. Okay. You want to have a woman that feels that she looks up to you, she respects you. And by the way, many women will prefer that. They want a man to look up to, because part of the weight. Huh? What's that?
I was going to say, no, they think they want to be equal.
No, they don't. They don't. They deep inside, they want a man. They want a man to look up to. They want a man who's going to take the lead, right? Why do you think in the secular world, in the Jewish world, we have our whole shidduch process, but in the secular world, usually the women want the man to approach them. Why? If you're equal, why don't you approach half the? Tell a woman, if you want to be equal, you should be approaching half the men. If you are approached 3 times by a man, you should be approaching men 3 times, right? But no, they want the man to approach them. Why? Because there is. It's part of nature. But let me get to why. Because originally they were created equal, but that relationship couldn't work, right? It just didn't work. So what God said, he actually said 2 things. Number one, he put Lilith in the category of the demons. So she kind of became a demon, right? And she took Adam and she said, you know what? We're going to make the female, we're going to make it out of him. So number one, it doesn't feel like something foreign, right? And that's why in a good relationship, the woman should not feel like a foreign entity. It should feel like one unified entity, because the woman was taken out of the man, which means the man and the woman both, they feel that they're part of each other, they're attached to each other. But also the women, if by nature, are a little shorter, a little weaker, right? Hence why we have the whole problem today with the women's sports. When these people that were born men, they decide they're going to all of a sudden, grow their hair long and shave their beards and call themselves women, and all of a sudden, and the women can't compete with them. Why not? Because they're built a little weaker, a little shorter, right? On average, yeah, you're going to tell me, okay, there's one woman that's tall, shkoyach. But if you take an average man and an average woman, women are usually a little shorter, a little weaker, right? Not too much, by the way. They're not. The women are not meant to be. That's very important. The women are not meant to be like teeny. It's not like a man and an ant. No, she's a little shorter, a little weaker, so that the man feels just a little bit of an edge, and he feels that he can lead because he has a little sense of superiority and confidence over her, which is actually the way that God built nature to exist, right? That's the way it was built, because with Lilith it didn't work. I don't know how we got into Lilith. Demons. We're talking about demons. But let's speak about here. The women, they go to the mikveh. They have to dip in the water once a month after their cycle. It's part of the Jewish ritual. You could look it up online if you want to know more details. Yeah?
What's this guy doing hanging out at the woman's mikveh?
Who says he was hanging out at the woman's mikveh? He was passing by the woman's mikveh. And that's that. I mean, in Crown Heights, the woman's mikveh is like smack in the middle of the neighborhood. People are always walking back and forth. Right. By the way, in Tzfas, I don't want to speak, God forbid, badly against the great people of Tzfas that built. They spent their lives tirelessly building a community. It was not easy, but the women's mikveh here is right next to the biggest synagogue, right? And you come from Ma'ariv, you come from Mincha, you're passing the women's mikveh, like right there. Like when you're going into the shul, everybody has to pass the mikveh. Right now, they made like this back door where you can come in the back, and only some people have to pass. Meaning, if I were to walk from my house to the synagogue, I would pass even the back door, but most people wouldn't. Right? The point is, it's impossible to build a mikveh in a place where no man is going to pass. People pass. Right? Now, what does it exactly mean, encounter? It's not very clearly what it means you're encountering this woman. Okay, after she's leaving the mikveh, we don't know exactly what it means. Encounter? Did you bump into her? Did you see her? I don't know what the story is, but obviously from the story, it seems like she's not your wife, right? You bump into a woman that's not your wife coming out of the mikveh, right? It says that if the man has relations with his wife before this woman has relations with her husband, then the man is going to be attacked by a promiscuous spirit, which means he's going to be drawn to do acts that he's not allowed to do due to immoral acts, sexual acts.
How is that necessarily his fault to say the other woman and her husband or whatever?
Again, we're saying the Talmud is not saying what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
It's just saying fact. It's right now we're talking about spooky stuff in the Talmud.
So I'm saying, what are you supposed to do necessarily? Let's say,
So let's wait. Listen to what the Gemara has to say. Yeah. So if he has relations first, yeah, then he's gonna get the spirit of promiscuity. So if she, the woman who was encountered, if she is with her husband before the man that encountered her, she's gonna get. Meaning the first person of this, when a man and a woman encounter each other, as the woman is leaving the mikvah, right? So whichever one of the two has relations with their spouse first, they're going to be attacked by the spirit of Zanunim, right? Zanunim is like promiscuity. Zanus, it comes from the same word as Zanus, etc. Where does it say here? No, doesn't really explain anything here. Good. Now the Gemara asks exactly what Mendel asked. Mai takante. What is the way to fix it? How do you prevent yourself? You don't want to be attacked. You don't want, maybe even if you're a strong person, you're not going to transgress. You're not going to actually act on these urges, but you don't want to have these urges, right? So what do you do? Mai takante. So the Gemara says, if you want to fix this, problem, leima hachi. You have to say the following. Listen carefully, okay? Sheifich buz al nedivim v'yisem b'soyu loydorach. Basically, it is a verse in Psalms. Okay? Do you have the newer Gemara where it actually says which verse it is? Here it doesn't say which. Oh, it does say over here. Tehillim, 107:23. Right? Psalms 107, verse 23. You have to say that verse. What does that mean? Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
Yodei
It's
Hayam.
no. 107,
Yeah, 23.
23.
Yodei Hayam.
No, read it.
Yodei Hayam. Ba'ani Esa Malachim Mayim.
Well, it's let me see.
Don't even even.
It's interesting. It is a misquote. First of all, these little side notes are not from the original Gemara. It's a little side note here. That's why I like to see some of the newer Gemaras. Let me see if you have the newer Gemara. Sometimes they actually have it on the side. No, it's actually it's the same verse. It was misquoted. It's actually the 40th verse and not 23rd verse. Yeah. So it is a misprint here in this Gemara where they wrote verse 23. It's really verse 40. Yeah. So again, 107 verse 40. It says spill waste on the Nadivim. It basically speaks about some type of spilling and whatever, and that somehow protects a person from having this, from this from having this thing. Yeah. What's that? Promiscuous thoughts or urges, I would say.
What if the guy
Promiscuous thoughts you can have anyways. Urges, I don't know.
Single? What if the guy was single?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other lady, of course, she was married.
Yeah.
Does it still apply if she goes and has relations and then?
Could be. It could be. She's having relations first. Obviously,
Yeah.
he didn't have it till he got married. I hope.
It still applies.
I would assume. It doesn't say it doesn't apply. Again, I can tell you what it says. I can't tell you what it doesn't say. Right? It doesn't say that. This is what it says it does. Anyways, Amar Rav Yitzchok says, "My diksiv." He says, what does it mean when it is written also in Psalms? Gam ki elech begeitz al mavas lo yirok yato modi. Even when I go in the valley of death, I will not fear, for you are with me. What does it mean? He's going to explain this verse in Psalms. He's about to explain it. Listen carefully. Huh?
This is a whole new segment.
What?
This is a new segment over here. This is a new statement.
It seems like it is unrelated to the previous one. Zeh hayoshen b'tzel dekel yechidi. This is a person who sleeps in the shadow of a single palm tree. Very dangerous. Ubetzel levana, or in the shadow of the moon, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. Ubetzel levana. Yeah.
Wait, shadow moons everywhere.
Yeah.
Shadow of the moon would be
Betzel shalavana inami yahoylech belaylo shalavana zeirachas. Moilech betzel aksolim sheda. So over here, the Rashbam says that the shadow of the moon, if you're walking at night, right? So the moon shines, and then the moon that shines, when if it hits a wall, then it makes a shade, right? And it actually says that the demons walk in the shadow of the moon. I mean, if the moon causes there to be a shadow, that's where demons hang out.
That's when movies get it pretty correct.
Oh, they do? They get in the shadows?
Are always scary.
It's very interesting that how do you say a shadow in English? Shade. And shade is actually the Hebrew word for demon. Yeah. Yeah. That's why sometimes we even say shindal, because we don't even want to mention the actual name. Yeah. What I just said, yeah. Huh? Yeah, the proper way to pronounce shindal is shade, but people try to say not to say it. But yeah. Yeah, anyways, the interesting thing here is apparently if the moon shines and it makes a shadow from the wall or from anything else, in the shadow of the moon, the demons hang out,
Nice.
right?
Or the palm tree.
Or the shadow of a single palm
What's the
tree.
deal with the palm
Yeah.
trees? I don't get it.
Apparently the demons like hanging out in the palm trees. Yeah. I like
Maybe
hanging
that's why
out.
they like California so much.
Oh, that's why they're all over California. Could be. Could be. Maybe that's why. California has a...
Like,
Huh?
LA is full of palm trees.
Full demons too.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Full of palm trees. Can I know how to... Where are we? Huh? What did you say?
Palm trees are section 8 for the shades.
Yeah, that's where they hang out.
They chill.
Free
They play
health.
dice
Chilling.
there. They play
Huh?
dice
Where they playing dice?
under the shade.
No, I can't say.
Freeloading.
Freaking people out over here.
Me? No.
No, they're freeloading.
Yeah,
Who?
just like
They're freeloading. The demons.
Who says maybe they own the property?
I mean, they might have important jobs to do, actually.
They might have their own ownership situation, by the way. I don't know. I've never hung out with any of these demons, but maybe they might have their whole. They might have a whole different societal structure that how they operate.
They have a purpose for creation. Say that. For sure.
And, anything that was created for a purpose. Okay, so therefore it says, yeah. Now we're going to go into details. Ubetzel dekel yechidi. If you are in the shadow of a single palm tree, loyam bottom, we're not going to say that it's going to damage you unless elo the loy nafil tula the chavrei iluya, right? Abal nafil tula the chavrei iluya leislan ba. This is only if its friend's shade doesn't hit it. But if its friend's shade hits it, it breaks the spell and nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Ah.
No, it's like you have one tree standing, and there's another palm tree a couple of feet away, and that palm tree is going into the shade.
No, because what's saying is as follows. The demons, they don't necessarily like just randomly attacking people, right? If they have another choice, they're not going to attack people. So if there's another palm tree next to it that also has a shade, so the demon will say, you know what? Why bind this human being? Let's just go to the other one. But if there's only one palm tree, say there's a big area, there's only one palm tree, then be careful, stay away from the shade of that palm tree. If there's another one close by,
But it says that if it hits it, if it doesn't hit it, then there's no issue.
that seems to be the literal translation of the Gemara, but the Rashbam seems to be saying it otherwise.
And what's it?
Yeah.
So Rosh was saying that if there's multiple palm trees, you're okay. If there's only one palm tree, it's an issue.
Again, if there's one palm tree in the whole area, then you better stay out of its shade, because they could be the demons might attack.
Yeah. Plus, you're not allowed to walk between the two palm trees anyway, unless there's a public domain in between, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, he's saying, but just be careful. If you have one palm tree in the middle of nowhere, stay out of its shade. Just stay away from it, because that's where the demons hang out. And if you're there, they'll be like, "Uh-oh, this human's getting in our way," and bam, they attack you. So, right? But if there's, huh? How do you know? You want to try it? Come back and tell us. And if you don't come back, but tell us before you go, so this if you don't come back, we'll know the answer both ways, right? We know both answers, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, how do farmers walk through date fields according to this? They're constantly walking between palm trees.
No, also, who decides that, hey, this is actually applicable nowadays and this isn't applicable? Like,
Maybe they walk with two people at a time.
Isn't there dollar almost between the palm trees?
Could be if Dalit Amos, it could be if there's 4 cubits,
No,
could
but
be. If
also,
it doesn't,
like,
it
who
didn't give that exception in the Gemara, so we can't necessarily say that is an
Wait,
exception.
who decides that, hey, what's applicable nowadays and what's not?
Who decides?
What's applicable, like what we actually have to follow nowadays and what we don't?
It's a good question. You could look in the Shulchan Aruch and see what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, which ones it tells you to watch
No,
out
like
for.
with women, we're very, very particular. Like you don't walk in the same.
Right.
But like, I've never heard anybody. What? Yeah.
Try to avoid it.
Yeah, you're supposed to avoid walking between two women or having one woman walk between two men. Yeah. And the reason is because of the demonic powers, etc. We don't want to give them.
Wait, does it work if you're walking with your wife? Does it count? Like two men or two
Yeah,
women?
it doesn't say it. The concept has to do with demons. It doesn't have to do with sneers. It doesn't have to do with modesty.
No, I'm saying,
If the concept had to do with modesty,
No.
so you would say, so your wife is your wife. But
no,
if the concept has to do with demons, then I don't see why your wife would be any different.
It's good. No, because it says you can hold on to somebody else. Like it's count if you're holding on to a woman. Or if you're holding on
But
to
if you're holding on to a woman, then you still have the same thing. You're walking between two women.
you're holding a man's hand.
If I'm holding a woman's hand here on my side, right, and there's another woman over here, then I'm walking between two women.
No, if you're holding another
Who
man.
cares if there's?
No.
So what?
No, I'm saying if you're holding.
That's a big problem. Yeah, if you have two wives, they should both walk on the side of you.
No, you have to get a third because it's Zugais anyway. So you.
By the way, in the Talmud, it does say that. It does say in the Talmud that if you have two wives, you better have three. Don't, either one or three. But it doesn't, not because of zugais, not because of pairs. The problem is they say that if you have two wives, they might both get together and conspire to harm you. Whereas if you have three wives, one of them is gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna tell on them. The third wife is gonna tell on them.
No, so it says like what's.
How many wives you have? Just one?
We're only allowed to have one right now. The reason. Hold on.
It's actually good. It's actually a good question. It's not so clear. There's different ways of looking at it.
No, because it says over here,
Yeah.
like the way they do it, that if you're walking between two people, that you hold on
Yeah.
to another man's hand.
Yes, but it has to be a man because then it breaks the spell. If it's another woman, then you're by definition walking between two women. It's not the original woman, but it's now the woman that you're.
You're holding on to another person.
Yeah.
Which is saying if you're
So as I said, there's many laws in the Torah that has to do with modesty. If it has to do with modesty, when your wife, you don't have to be modest in front of your wife, or vice versa, because she's your wife. The whole point of modesty is to prevent a man from being with somebody he's not allowed to be with, right? So with his wife, he's obviously the modesty rules don't really apply, right? But if it has to do with spells and spirits and demons, like I don't know, this maybe who says that? Who says your wife is an exception to this rule? Maybe it has to do with some spiritual element, feminine energy, and even your wife may set off this domino effect of demonic attack.
If you're walking here and your wife.
Yeah, you got to be careful with these feminine people here. Yeah, there's a powerful. Yeah, there's a power. There's a feminine power out there. Yeah.
Girl power.
Somebody asked if this has to do with date palms. I don't know. I would assume it. I assume it's yeah. I once stood in the moon shadow of a date palm tree and looked up. Hold on. Oh, you're putting it up here. Looked up at a bunch of dates. It looked like 1,000 eyes looking down at me. Maybe it was 1,000 demons looking at me.
What?
Indescribable. That's good. Now leave it up for a second. Let people read it. It's a good, interesting comment. It was absolutely surreal. Only ever saw it that once. Okay, could be. There you go. Here you go. Joseph Yitzchak. You don't have to try it. This guy tried it. He was in the shadow of a date palm tree. He looked up at the dates, and they all looked like eyes looking down on him. This is scary stuff. Huh? I don't know. He's on the internet, isn't it? Everything's on the internet is credible. No, if somebody writes it on the internet, it should be credible. He's good. It's good. Again, there is somebody out there. Somehow I doubt it's an AI writing it. I think this guy Thaddeus Melachar. He's been here a few times. He's been here a few times. I definitely think that he's a credible human being. Again, could he lie? He could be lying. I don't know, but why would we assume he's lying? You know, he says he had this crazy experience in the shadow of a date. That in fact, shadow of a date palm, that could be in fact accurate. I can't tell you one way or the other, but could be. There you go. Huh? Okay, we have a question in the class for Mr. Thaddeus. They're asking if you were on any substance at the time. Were you under the influence of any substance, or was just pure sober You were sober and you walked in the shadow of the palm and you saw this experience. But again, interesting. But it's interesting for Thaddeus. Well, we would like to know if you were under the influence of any particular drug or not. Even if he was, the fact that it happened specifically in the date palm is something. It's the Talmud clearly says, watch out from the shadows of a date palm. Now, the other question for Thaddeus that he doesn't really say, was this palm tree the only palm tree in that area, or was there a palm tree close by? In the Talmud, it says, seemingly, if it's close by enough that the shadow of one tree, a tree shadow could be very long. If it's close enough that the shadow of one palm would reach the other palm, then the demons would go to the other one.
That's nice.
Yeah, they don't want to attack people. The demons are not necessarily interested in attacking people, right? However, if they're stuck and they have no other, you're messing in their territory, they might attack. Very interesting. There you go. See, Yosef Yitzchak thought he was going to risk it on his own. Now he has somebody that already did it, and there you go.
He pleased the first.
Huh?
He said he pleased the first.
Where does it say that?
No, look, he's not.
I don't see anything. He doesn't write anything.
Yeah, he pleased the first.
Where does it say that? Where does it say please the fist? It doesn't say please the fist. What does it say? It says,
Smiley face.
I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what that means. Huh? He doesn't want to tell us whether he was on any substances or not. Huh?
Yeah, it's a pleading the fifth kind of.
So our student here, Shmuel, thinks that the very fact that you put those funny signs means you don't want to tell us that you were really on drugs.
Oh yeah, synthetic weed.
Oh, synthetic weed. Yeah, but the fact is, weed, even though weed. Synthetic weed. Huh?
Oh, he says synthetic weed. That's what he calls it.
That stuff is actually.
Does that make people hallucinate?
Yeah.
What is it?
It
Makes you see weird things?
It makes you think that certain things. It's like
Yeah.
He was high as the moon. Yeah, he was tripping up.
hear some things that don't really happen.
So you're saying it's not a good source? Yeah, but then why did it happen? He says it only happened to him then. I'm sure this guy, if he was smoking synthetic weed at that experience, he probably also smoked it at other experiences. And he says he said he never experienced this before. He never experienced it. Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
Huh?
You gotta be careful. That's a gateway drug to bath salts.
Yeah.
And those make-
By the way, he says there was two. He thinks there was 2 trees in his backyard. But if you remember, last week we also learned if you go in between a palm tree and a wall, it could also be a problem. There's a few. Be careful with palm trees and their shade and where you walk around, especially at night, because apparently demons like hanging out over there. Yeah. Anyways, good. Yeah.
I think a defense lawyer would have a serious case.
Yeah. The defense lawyer might have a serious case. Oh, you synthetic weed, forget about it. No. Anyways. Yeah. He says that one thing for sure is that the moon was casting a shadow on this palm tree. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Again, if you put it this way, judge for yourself. It seems like we have an honest story. He's not hiding the fact that he was on synthetic weed. It could be again. But even if a person's on synthetic weed, very often they have hallucinations. But it could be that the demons were kind of like.
He saw it. That's not the issue. He saw it, but it actually happened. That's the question.
Yeah, again, put it this way: everybody can make their own decision what they think about it. The fact is that the Gemara definitely warns that demons like hanging in the moon shadows of palm trees.
I also think that he probably didn't learn the Gemara beforehand.
Right.
And that whole story happened.
Exactly. He didn't learn the Talmud. Like if he learned the Talmud and then went, then we could say that it was in his mind when he was on weed and it. But here we're talking about a guy that didn't know that it said this in the Talmud, and he all of a sudden had this experience. Very interesting. There you go. This is one guy that I think is going to rock up one day in Sfai. He's going to come into our class. By the way, I'm that guy that was posting. We're waiting. It's not so expensive. A ticket, $1,000. You come here. You might even be in Israel. If you're in Israel, you could come straight here to the north in the ancient city of Tzfat. And well, there's a place at the table for you. We'll bring a chair. Don't worry. Yeah, come. We're waiting for you.
This is
Huh?
Damiano with some secret spray that I've never figured out that really opens your mind.
Yeah.
Now it's just distraction.
All right. That's it. He's just a distraction for now. Let's continue. But again, he had an interesting experience. He added a little bit to our shir, etc. Good. Let's continue. Elohad Tanya. Now we're going to bring another quote from a brisatic quote from the Braisa. The Tanya, it says in a Braisa as follows: Hayosham b'tzel dekel yechidi. If somebody sleeps in the shadow of a single palm tree, bechotzer, in a yard. This guy was talking about his yard. In his yard. V'hayosham b'tzel levana, or if somebody sleeps in the shadow of the moon. Again, even not a palm tree. If you sleep in the shadow of a palm tree in a yard, or if you sleep in any shadow of the moon, which means the moon makes light, and there might be a wall, there might be something, but if you're in the shadow of the moon, afilu besada. No, sorry, hold on. Domoi beroisha. His blood is on his head. In other words, he's responsible for his own death, which means it's warning you heavily. Never sleep in the shadow of the moon. You're like a dead man walking. Don't do it. They'll attack you. Don't sleep in the shadow of the moon, right? Or in the shadow of a single palm tree in a yard. However, hey Chidami. Now the Gemara asks, is analyzing this prosaic quote. It says as follows: Hey Chidami, give me an example of what this is talking about. If you're talking about a palm tree that one doesn't fall onto, the shadow of one doesn't fall onto the other, then this should apply even in the field. Why are you saying only in a yard? Elalav shmamino. Isn't this a proof bechotzer that in the chotzer afal gadin afatula chavi loye shmamina? Oh my gosh! Did you just hear what just happened? We were asking. He said that there were two palm trees, and I'm like, okay, the Talmud doesn't say. Then right afterwards, the Talmud says that if it's in a person's yard, even if the shadows meet each other, don't do it. Don't sleep in the shadow of a palm tree in a yard. If it's a private yard, if it's in a field, if it's an open field, I guess because if it's an open field, the demons have free range to move around. So if it's an open field, then you only have a problem if the two palm trees are not close enough that the shade of one falls onto the other. However, if you're in a yard, apparently it's more enclosed, right? So if you're in a yard, a private yard, it says don't ever sleep in the shadow of a palm tree. Now, this guy thought he was on drugs apparently, but he didn't go to sleep. He's flipping lucky because if you would have went to sleep, you'd have been dead. That's what it says. That's what it says. If he would have went to sleep, he would have been dead. Thank God he saw the spooky experience, and he went the hell out of there. And that's why he's alive today to share with us from the Gemara. Valuable lesson. That's what it says here.
Wow.
If you don't go to sleep in the shadow of a palm tree or the shadow of the moon. You go to sleep there, you're dead. Zel.
It says here that the shadow of the palm tree, the shadow of the moon.
Now, it doesn't really say you're dead. It says you're responsible for your death, which means it's likely that the demons will kill you. It's likely. It might not be for sure, but it's likely. Basically, your fault of your own death. Yeah, your fault of your own death. So, yeah.
No, the question is that the shadow of the palm tree, what's the difference between that and the shadow of the moon? Any time that you're at night, they're all the same shadow of the moon. They all fall under that category.
I don't know what you mean. What?
Means that
first of all, the shadow of a palm tree is not necessarily the shadow of a moon. No.
Why?
No, because the shadow of a palm tree, even in the day, could be a problem. Seemingly. Yeah. Again, it says two separate things: the shadow of a palm tree and the shadow of a moon. The shadow of the moon obviously could only be at night. The shadow of the palm tree could even be in the day. Now, Thaddeus asks an interesting question. He says, what happens if you're sleeping in a tent? Isn't that the shadow of the moon? I wouldn't call it the shadow because you have a full thing over you. A shadow really is when you can see here clearly like a dark mark from the shadow, that would be a shadow. So for example, if you have a wall and you have the moons over here, you clearly will see light over here and then you'll see the shadow. You're not going to be fully covered. If you're fully covered, I wouldn't really consider that a shadow. I don't think that that's what it's talking about. I think that if you're in a full covered tent, then it won't be. But if you're kind of like, you clearly could see the shape of a shadow, you better be careful. Better be careful here, and that's that. Yeah. Anyways, that's the interesting piece of the Talmud. Let's finish it off, and that's that. Yeah. However, the shadow of the moon, it says specifically only that this only applies. It says in Barav it's in the west. And Rashbam explains it's the end of the month that the moon is shining in the east. In the end of the month, it shines in the east. It shines from the east, and therefore the shadows in the west. You have im shechev etzel kaiser l'tzad ha'mayrav havi halel b'mayrav. Abba b'mendinasa hainu tchilas hachodesh shalavanu zerachas b'mayrav. Yeah. So basically, it says if the moon is in the west, then the shadow would be in the east. You don't need to worry about it. Only if the moon's in the west and the shadow's therefore in the east, then you have to worry about it. I think that's what it says. Yeah.
That's just the end of the month when it's
no, it's actually the opposite. If the moon is in the west, then the shadow's in the east, you don't have to worry about it. But if the moon is in the east and therefore the shadow's in the west, you got to be careful. That's when you got to be careful.
It's the end of the month when the moon is in the east. Is that what it says?
That's what it says, but it doesn't make sense so much because the moon doesn't necessarily go from the east to the west in the beginning.
No, it might make sense.
It doesn't? But the moon doesn't necessarily go with the sun's cycle. The moon has its own cycle. It's a difference. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what that means. If anybody wants to help us here, I'm going to be happy to have the help. But yeah. We're going to see Mendel's going to be careful. He's going to go on the next time he's going on he's going to go on a hike. He's going to go on a overnight. He's going to be like, I'm not sleeping in no palm trees, no.
I'm going to Italy soon. I'm camping out, and now I'm like, I'm gonna have
just make sure to have a tent. If you have a full tent, don't sleep in any shadows.
Just don't sleep outside.
No, you could sleep outside, but I think if you have a tent, it would probably be best because then you're not really in a shadow. Whereas if you're sleeping outside, you might be in the shadow of the moon. You don't want to be. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. The whole time?
Well, the whole sky is moving every day, but every day the moon is going to be a little bit more east as you go into the month.
Yeah.
Because I think would it be on the western?
And does it say when?
No.
Yeah.
It says it moves about 13 degrees in 24 hours.
Yeah.
It moves in its orbit from west to east. The moon rises about 50 minutes later each night. Don't confuse this west to east orbital motion with the east to west motion during the night due to Earth's
Rotation.
So the moon is moving.
Look what these Talmudic people teaching us this brilliance. So there's two different rotations of the moon. There's the daily rotation, which definitely changes. That doesn't make sense. Who did you find this out from?
No.
Who did you ask?
I just checked it.
Is that Google? Regular Google? Regular Google? What about some AI? Let's get AI.
Honestly, no, that's
But does
right.
it say that it has different times of the month? Like at the beginning or the end of the month? All right, let's ask. I'm going to ask my friend Gemini. Let's see where we can get Gemini. Where are you, Gemini? No, where is it? should get the app because I've been using Gemini a lot. Maybe I should get the app. All right, let's go to Gemini.
Oh no, should I do unhinged rock
Here.
response?
Gemini. The Talmud says that the moon moves from east to west, from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Could you explain to me what that means? Apparent motion of the moon across the night sky and not the moon's actual orbit. Yeah, it says the whole thing. Earth's orbit, okay, moon's orbit. Well, the moon does orbit the Earth, and that the what's that? Huh? What is that?
It's unhinged rock, but it might curse. I don't know if we should.
It's based in everyday event. The moon's apparent motion is invalid.
I'm gonna ask you a question about the moon.
But is that concept based on the time of the lunar month? All right, we sent that in. Let's see what it says.
Place of the moon in the sky every night as the month goes on. Does the moon?
This primary due to the Earth's
start
rotation.
west
That's
or
okay.
east? Based on the month?
The lunar month, 29 days. It takes the moon complete. During this time, the moon is indeed moving in its orbit, which is an eastward direction relative to the stars. This eastward orbital motion is why moon rises about 50 minutes later each day. So it's not really helping us here. Therefore, the eastward motion is daily apparent. Yeah. The AI is not quite answering the question properly. I'm sorry,
Here we go.
but
Oh,
you haven't. Who you asking?
So it says in the Talmud that the
Yeah.
moon is ending the lunar month in the eastern sky that's making shadows in the west. Can you explain how the month moves, or the moon?
Who's this, Grok?
Yeah, oh, it's not even working.
Restart. We're going to find out right now. Is there a correlation? I think that's the question.
The lunar month starts with the moon in the western sky making.
Let's ask it properly.
That's not right.
Is there a correlation between the lunar month and when it orbits from east to west? Let's see what it says. While the moon always appears to move east to west due to the Earth's rotation, there's a slight nuance related to the lunar.
The moon's going around the Earth also, and that motion is going from the west to the east. So it's 15.
Yes, I understand this. I'm trying to figure out if this other orbit, not the daily orbit, but this slow orbit from east to west, does that correlate? From
west to east.
From west to east.
That says the moon's going around the Earth.
Huh? Hold on. Let's erase
Right?
this. I don't know what you're
The
talking
Earth's
about.
rotating every day. The whole sky.
No, it says over here it starts in the east and it goes to the west. No, hold on. Oh, it does go from
west to east. That's against the direction that the whole sky moves
no.
with the rotation
In the
of Earth.
beginning, it says going from west to. Oh, it is going to the west to east.
Yeah. Which the whole sky is going from east to
Okay,
west.
hold on.
And then it's
The
going
Talmud says that the moon orbits in a particular way, not daily, but monthly, from west to east. And in that orbit, it correlates with the lunar month. I want to know if you have any information about that. Let's see. We're doing, how many Talmudic classes use AI in the middle? And the actual orbit of motion of the moon. counter when it's viewed from. Okay. West to east orbital movement is inherently linked to the progression of the lunar month. Yeah. It says here, and the fact the moon is moving, the fact that the moon is moving in that direction it is crucial to the difference between daily motion, which east to west, actual orbit motion is west to east.
Yeah, but it takes a month for it to do one full.
It seems like again. It seems that it's crazy that the Talmud realizes it. And the way the Talmud says it, you would say like, what are you talking about, east to west? Like I was thinking, AI just helped us understand the Talmud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moon's rising. Like
apparently, there's two different. There's the daily orbit that it kind of goes around, and then there's somewhat of a monthly orbit that it goes from east to west. But I'm not exactly sure what that means.
West to east.
Sorry, west to east.
Basically, what it means is every night the moon is going to come up above the eastern horizon.
Yeah.
13 minutes later than the night before, because it's moving against the background of the sky.
Right.
West to east. No. It should come up 13 minutes sooner, right?
Right.
So it's going to, because it's moving west to east. The whole sky's moving east to west.
Yeah.
So it's going to come up 13 minutes sooner every night.
Right.
Until the end of the.
Yeah, but would that correlate with the actual lunar month? Apparently it does. Again, I'm assuming if the Talmud says it, I'm assuming there's some basis to this. I'm assuming.
Of course, all right.
But it's very interesting that there's
the
different.
world's round to the flat earthers. It's also proof that the world's round.
What's proof that the Earth's round?
That the Talmud is giving evidence also that the Earth is round.
But what's the evidence from the Talmud that the Earth is round?
Because it's saying the moon is moving west to east relative to the east to west movement of the rest of the sky.
Right.
In a cycle that goes around one time per month. So
right.
It's evidence also that the world is.
I mean it's flat. It's got this massive circle underneath. Comes up at the top.
Anyways, we have some flat earthers over here. What can you do? All right. Anyways, so it's very interesting. So again, in order to be attacked by demons, it has to be when the moon is in the east, shining in the east,
on the west side,
making shadows in the west.
Yeah. And apparently it's saying specifically when the moon's in the east, which is the end of the month, right?
Cast a shadow on the west.
So it's while the moon is waning.
Yeah, but even so, on a daily basis, the moon on a daily basis is the moon on a daily basis is going to be in the east and in the west at some point.
It's going to come up on the eastern horizon,
right,
and then set on the western horizon.
Right. So
every
then
night.
It'll still make a shadow at least once a night. It will make a shadow in the west.
Right.
So here it's saying that only at the end of the month it makes a shadow in the west.
That would mean, maybe no. I think it's saying that we need to worry about it at the end of the month would be the period where the moon is waning. After the full moon, as it's waning towards the new moon, apparently that's maybe the time period.
Apparently there's some time period that has to do with this as well. Yeah. Sometimes maybe it has to do with some time period that the demons come and attack. It's crazy stuff, man. Wow. But one thing I can tell you for sure is we just finished the weekly Gemara, and now we will have Wednesday and Thursday to review it, which is crazy. And Baruch Hashem, we're speaking about enough demons, and people are coming. We have a big crowd here today, Kenai Nahara, online as well as in person. Anything is coming from the comments that you think we should address? If there's anything that you feel that we should address on topic, again, you can join if you click the QR code, scan the QR code.
Take a screenshot. Or scan.
Say whatever you want to do. If you scan the QR code, you can join our WhatsApp group, which is keep giving you updates about this class. If you don't join the WhatsApp group, you might have trouble finding us every day when we come on. We try to come on every day. If anybody has any questions, comments on topic, we're not going to go too off topic over here. But if you have a question that you want to ask, please go for it. And we'll give you about another 30, 40 seconds before we'll shut this down. I do want to warn you that there is about a 7-8 second delay on this system. So You might answer. You ask the question. You're gonna have to wait a little bit till you get the answer. All right. Anyways, this person's asking about AI and our use of AI. I'll tell you what. A lot of people make AI as if it's like, well, either that it's evil or that it's something drastically helping people enhance. It does help. I've used AI in many ways, and I think that AI is an awesome tool, but it does not take away the human touch. Because if you just say, okay, if you type in AI, make me a movie that people will like, I don't know if it will do it. You have to. It'll probably be very similar to other movies, and because it'll just kind of copy other things. Whereas if you really want to use AI properly, you have to definitely put in some of your input. A good question he asked: is it the same in the southern hemisphere? I would assume it would be, because east to west wouldn't really change from the different hemispheres.
No,
if it was something
in the
moving
southern
from north
hemisphere,
to south,
the moon looks slightly different. It's
correct.
rotated.
But again, if it was something moving from north to south, then it would probably change in the hemispheres. But since it's moving from east to west, the whole discussion is east to west. I would assume it would be the same in both hemispheres. Yeah. Good. Anyone else? We'll give you another few seconds if you want to type any questions, comments, etc. Yeah. Anyone else? Anybody here want to ask a question? They're all spooked out. They're like, it's not that scary, man. God also created demons. So that's it. They're part of God's creation. They have to work within God's plan. I wouldn't say there's necessarily good demons. No, it's a good question. I don't. Again, demons have a particular function. What their functions are, I don't know. They do seem to be from the other side, which means not the good side. But again, the bad side, it seems like demons are from the bad side. But however, the fact is that even the bad side has functions, right? As the Tanya says, that every single thing, except for human beings, everything operates exactly the way God wants them to function. The only things that could actually break God's will is a human being, that we have a choice that we can make to do good or evil. So good, true good, even goyim, but they're limited. Their choice is limited to the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Menayach. Our choice is limited to the 613 mitzvahs, right? But the fact is that humans can make a choice, and that's why we're responsible for our actions, and other things are not, right? No one complained to a lion for viciously attacking a bull, right? They're not. Again, we kill an ox, but we try to do it in some human way. And if a person would just, I don't know, just start stabbing an ox, people will be like, excuse me, that's inhumane. But if an animal, if a lion comes and chops up and bites up in a horribly painful way for a cow, no one's going to complain, because that's the lion's nature. It doesn't really have a choice, right? And it's the same thing that we have in our Talmud in general. Demons don't necessarily have choice. They have functions and they operate in a particular way, but they must operate exactly the way God wants them to. They don't have free choice to make decisions.
We could change their nature.
Huh?
We could change their nature.
We could change their nature? No.
Yeah.
No. No. Who said the Baal Shem Tov used demons? Did he use demons? I don't know what you're talking about. Who said that? He may have interacted in it. Huh? Who said that? I don't know where you got that from. Huh? In any case, the demons function, and it's possible that a human being could use that function if they're taught how. I wasn't yet taught how to use their functions, but it could be that a human being could use their functions if they know how, but again, they don't make the choice. It's the human that makes the choice to allow them to do certain things, right?
Well, it's probably not worth it, since Shlomo HaMelech, who was basically one of the smartest human beings to ever live, and the most wise in the spiritual sense also, employed demons, and it came back to bite him quite badly.
I don't know if he employed demons. Did he employ demons, or did he engage demons? I mean, he spoke with them, but the question is, did he actually...
He somehow got them to do tasks for him, you know?
You did? I don't know.
And,
Again,
but
that's
it
a
came
good
back to bite him. And if he wasn't capable of doing it without negative consequences, then we're probably not either.
Esther sent demons also.
Huh?
Esther sent demons.
Where? Says who?
That's the whole point. How could she still marry Mordecai? The whole thing was why she passed away, because she was actually approaching him for the first time.
This doesn't say anything about the demons in the Megillah, though.
No, it's
I don't know. These are spooky stuff.
no, that's the whole point. No, the whole thing was that she never was. She was never with Achashverosh. She was able to marry Mordecai.
Thanks for joining us. Go read it. Yosef Yitzchak. Get off your